3 up, 2 across, tap that play button 3 times, and walk through the archway into Dialogue Alley. Hello and welcome to Dialogue Alley, a podcast all about Harry Potter books, book translations, and all other things magical. I'm Melanie.
I'm Carly.
And I'm Erik.
And the 3 of us are Harry Potter translation collectors. So we collect Harry Potter books from all over the world. We have books in Chinese and Japanese and French and Finnish and Icelandic and
Basque, Bosnian,
Slovak,
Catalan, Danish,
Maori. There's so many languages, so many that it is so hard to keep track of how many languages there in fact are. But if you are new to this podcast, there are a lot of episodes that you can listen to that talk about exactly that, all of these different translations. And welcome to our podcast. This is season 3, episode 39. This is our first summer episode. We typically for the entire, I was going to say school year because that's really what it was, from September until June, came out with a weekly episode. Erik and I are both teachers, so we follow a bit of a school schedule. So for us kind of transitioning to every other week for summertime has been what we've been messing around with. But we're happy that you're here and you're listening to our little episodes. That's it.
Indeed.
For our main segment of this episode today, we are going to be talking about something large, if you will.
Really big and large.
So large. We're going to be talking about large print books, and there are a lot more than I realized. So we're going to get the lowdown on it. I'm going to have to add books to my list, probably, is what I feel like this episode is going to turn into. But
it's probably also one of those that it's books that we know about and that people have told us about, but there might even be more.
Exactly.
That would be awesome.
I'm excited to see if there are more, actually.
I know. We have a good chunk of people that are listening in live, so I'm hoping they give some input if there are any books that they can think of that we might have forgotten or are not sure of. But we'll just do a little whatever we know about them. We'll let you guys know about them. But first, because we haven't had an episode in 2 weeks, we have a plethora, if you will, of news.
Ooh, a plethora.
So today for news, I'm going to get right into it. There is a lot of news. There are some new books that are coming out that need to be mentioned. One of them is that the Estonian anniversary edition of Deathly Hallows is coming out. Have you guys seen a picture of it yet? Do you know what color it is? Erik knows. He's nodding his head. What color is it?
Oh my gosh. I've seen it though, but now I can't remember. Brock shared it.
I love all the colors they've used for their book so far.
They're beautiful. They're definitely, they remind me a lot of the German rainbow editions, honestly. I feel like they're big and bulky,
I need all of them.
That. Yeah, they're so nice. I need
all of them.
I think I have through 6 or I have through 5 maybe.
I just have the one, and I'm cool with that for now.
I definitely have through 5.
My parents were just in Estonia 4 days ago.
I need to get my books on the shelf, and then I can see what kind of room I'm working with, honestly.
No, I guess you'll figure it out. They're so nice though. I love these books, so I can't wait to finish that set. That's gonna be a cool one to have. Oh, did we mention in the last episode about, or have we mentioned in the past about the new Croatian for Azkaban? Is that?
I think so. Yeah, that was news.
Yep. Yeah, we mentioned that.
Okay. I'm behind.
Azkaban Croatian is out.
It's out.
And people have them, so that's new though. That like people have.
Yeah,
them.
they're like
people have received them
in hand, getting to be in hand.
Which is exciting. And the reactions have been very positive.
But that's
Those
How
books
could
are
they not?
Yeah.
Because the first two were very positive reactions also.
Yeah, so good. What an awesome book. Can't wait to get that one. Another book that I'm going to be excited to get is new Basque. How do we feel?
I'm very excited. I'm curious how different it is from the original. What's been done, how they have edited the story, like all the typical translation questions, I guess, is, that like what's being revised, what's being corrected, what are they going to do?
So is it a new translator or is it just being like heavily revised? Is my question.
And is it 1 through 7 or just book 1 for now?
These are the questions that hopefully one day will be answered. Because I
wish they would have picked a different
Brock is
cover.
the one that told us about this, and it's the same translator, but it's revised. I'm remembering this, but he's just typing it right now in the chat too. That's very helpful. Same translator, revised. Books 1 through 3 are coming out, but then the rest of them, 4 through 7, are still in the works, so they will come eventually. And as far as he knows, the books are softcover.
That's kind of cool.
So that's I think we all prefer hardcover books, but it's a way to differentiate which one is which on your shelf.
Since they're
so
the same
that's
covers.
Helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
wish they'd have
probably
different cover art.
I'll get book 1, just to have it for safety's sake, but it's not typically something like I would have to collect, but I think it's really cool, so I might just
It is,
get
especially,
it
again, like we did a whole episode on this language. It is such a cool
It's an amazing language.
that
it is
the
so
book
neat.
was translated into this language, and that there's still enough of a demand for it that it's being retranslated, or like not retranslated,
awesome.
but revised to do the same thing that a lot of languages did, where once all the books are out and you know the whole plot, you can kind of retranslate certain parts of the book to make them more cohesive throughout the entire story. Especially like wordplay items or names of objects that maybe were translated very literally, but turns out that it's more of like their function. So you can come up with a different concept for that. But like Basque was a very early translation that was done, which was also really cool. So I can see why there's a demand for people to read this book, for them to redo it.
So cool.
Yeah,
I
guess we won't
exciting.
know more details until one of us gets them.
Yeah, and we're going to study it pretty quickly, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I can't wait to hear what Brock says about it.
Yeah, I'm excited to kind of see what happens. I think anytime there's like a new translation or something is retranslated, it's always like super exciting. Another bit of really exciting news is 2 of our friends in our collecting community, Mike and Johnny, finished their collections of Philosopher Stone in every translation. They finished. They have all of the books. Johnny finished.
Celebration sound effect.
I know. Woo woo woo. So, it's so cool. It's such a cool thing. Johnny finished with Asturian. Mike finished with Greenlandic. It's awesome.
So
it's
cool.
such an
Congrats,
awesome
you
thing.
guys.
We're so excited for you guys. Welcome to the crazy club of never-ending collections, because once you finish that, then you're going to figure out, oh, well, but I need this book. And then, wait, no, I also need this book. So can't wait to see what you guys are going to be up to next. But it's really awesome. And there's just so much news, guys. A plethora is what I said. Okay, so I have a really cool story before I get to like my biggest bit of news. I have a really cool story. So I was on vacation last week on Cape Cod with my family, and like we're really big on like going to these like antique stores and going to like little hole in the wall type like places, whatever. So obviously like I have to research like bookstores that are in any area that I'm in. We went to one really old bookstore, didn't have any Harry Potter stuff, still really cool vibes. Got Nora a bunch of like really early edition kids books that were awesome. Then I went into a bookstore in a town called Mashpee, and it was called Market Street Bookshop. And I walked in, and the children's section was like right as you walk in, and then there were just Brian Selznick book spines. If you like know his books, you recognize his art on the spines like right off the bat. So yeah, as we do with any of our Harry Potter books, you know, and his Harry Potter books are like that. So I saw a couple spines for his not Harry Potter books, and was just like geeking out because I love Brian Selznick. So saw a couple of his books. I was like, oh, those are some Brian Selznick books that I don't have. And continued walking around. Nora is like being a terrible version of herself, like screaming around the bookstore. And I ended up grabbing a book called The Marvels, and I have it. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. It's blue with gold foiling. It has gold side edge, like sick Brian Selznick book. So I'm holding it, and the woman that owned the bookshop comes up to me with another Brian Selznick book in her hand, and she's like, oh, if you like Brian Selznick, you'll like this one. It was called Baby Monkey Private Eye, and it's like a little kid book. So cute. So she starts like showing it to me. I'm showing it to Nora, and she's like, oh, like I really like Brian Selznick too. I just got his Harry Potter books. Did you know that he did the 20th anniversary Harry Potter books? And I said, did I know about those Harry Potter books? Well, of course I did. No, I didn't say it like that, but I was like, yeah, I
Did you put your monocle on too? Wow, actually.
No, I didn't say.
Did you like
like
lift
that.
up your shirt to like the Dialogue Alley shirt underneath?
Show her like my Harry Potter tattoo, like just, you know, completely geek out about it. No, I didn't like want to come off like too crazy. So I was like, I was like, yeah, I've seen his books. I'm a huge Brian Selznick fan. And I did mention like I've met him before. I have a few things signed by him. Then my husband drops that we invited him to our wedding, and he sent back an RSVP with a sketch on it and a signed poster to us. Like all this cool, really nerdy Brian Selznick stuff because, like I've said, obsessed. And just get into the most wholesome conversation with this woman just about books, and not even just Harry Potter books, but just our love for books and passion for books. As I'm going to check out, she has like a set of Lord of the Rings, these leather bound, really adorable books. And I see them, I'm like, these are so cute. I love the Lord of the Rings books. I've always wanted a set like this. She goes, well, if you want a great Lord of the Rings book, here's an edition of The Hobbit that has these illustrations, the most beautiful book I've ever seen. And I said, just add it to my pile. You clearly know my taste. Sounds great. And got into a whole conversation about our translation of the show and our podcast, and told her about, you know, one of the biggest things that I have a Harry Potter podcast, and I collect translations of Harry Potter, and I have all the books from around the world. And one of the things that we do is we do a scale on how the book feels and how it smells and everything. You could just see, like, as passionate as I was about this whole thing, talking to this woman, she was just lighting up. You could just see the passion in her eyes too. And I don't think I've ever had like a connection with an outsider like that. I left just with like my soul, my Harry Potter little soul, so full after this like beautiful conversation with this woman. So I never got her name. She made me a beautiful little bookmark. I wrote down our podcast for her. I hope she's listening. If she is, like, send me a message. Loved your bookstore. Have to go back. Thank you for the amazing vacation memory, because it was probably my favorite part of my trip. But like, how
so
cool
awesome.
is that? Isn't it?
It's so awesome.
Like, it's just precious. Like, I just love being able to connect with people over not even just Harry Potter books, but just about books and how a book feels in your hand and how a book smells and just all of these like weird, awesome things that like the three of us love about books. Just connecting to other people about stuff like that was real cool. Real cool. I'm going to be real quick about this one because that was a really long story, but I had to tell you guys that story.
But it was a great story. I thoroughly enjoyed the story. I could feel the passion.
Thank you.
In that story.
It was just what a good moment.
I don't know if I've been to Mashpee. It sounds like maybe I've been to Mashpee. I don't know.
It was a cute little town. We went to it was like an outlet kind of place that we went to. We stayed
I've been to Falmouth, and I've been to Woods
We stayed in Yarmouth. And then, which is like right in the middle. So like if this is Cape Cod, like Yarmouth is like right here. And then there's Chatham is like your elbow. So we went to Chatham a couple of times. And then
Provincetown.
Provincetown. And Provincetown is like your little aunt. So we went to Provincetown too, which was so cool, so fun. Loved Provincetown. Loved everything about Cape Cod. It was great. Food was great.
Awesome.
People
awesome
were great.
Trip.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you guys this real quick. I got a holy grail item in my collection. And it's kind of a Harry Potter book, but it's not really a Harry Potter book. And if you've been listening to our podcast for any amount of time, you know how passionate I have been about these stupid Hallmark ornaments.
We did a whole episode on it. We did an episode on limited released items and how mind-numbingly frustrating they are when it comes to collecting them.
Because it's so hard when you decide, oh, I want to be collecting something, and then you realize that you're missing one thing from it, and now, because it's limited item and it's only out for a limited time, that item is now hundreds of dollars and it's impossible to find, and it just blows your mind.
Especially with these, considering that they are going to only be 7, right? Like
exactly.
They can't do more.
They have one of these ornaments that come out every single year. This year, they're already up to Half-Blood Prince is coming out this year.
Yes.
Which is crazy. So, like, if you decide this year that you want to collect all of these ornaments, you are too late, my friend. You are too late. But I can say that I have 1 through 5 now. I got Sorcerer's Stone. I'm looking at it right now. I hung them up on my desk, so I have all 5 just hanging up right here so I can stare at them every single time we record. I have 1 through 5, and I have Erik to thank big times for this. I have David to thank big times for this because
David,
2 of them were, oh my God, they both were messaging me because Peter happened to have this ornament in his sale and I didn't realize it. And
nobody bought it. It was like in the leftover sale.
It was like meant to be that I ended up with this ornament because exactly how I don't understand how nobody bought it. And his sale had already been going on. His sale had already been going on for like a week and it was still there. And now it's here. It's right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All 5. And I'll never make the mistake again. I will, the second my Hallmark comes out with Half-Blood Prince, I'll be getting it.
Very cool. Well, you can listen to us rant about how absurd that concept is. We have a whole episode. I think it was called like limited time releases. Listen now before this episode goes away forever. Or something crazy.
Because I was just, I think
it's frustrating.
I think by the time that I realized like, oh wait, I should probably go back and get the Sorcerer's Stone ornament, it was too late. It was just too late to be able to get it.
When I told my wife that I was sending you this info, I'm like, this ornament's for sale, like Melanie's got to buy it, she's looking for it, she's gonna get it, and she was like, yeah, and how much do you love me for like buying it the first year it was out, not even knowing that this was gonna be a big deal?
Yeah.
Which, again, how would you know, right? Like she knows that like, we are a Harry Potter household, and she's like, hey, Hallmark has an ornament, and it's the Sorcerer's Stone book. I'm going to buy that. That's cool. Like, that was such a whim purchase. Like, no one made a paper chain counting down the days till that came out. Like, no one knew. And then after that year, you couldn't even get that one. So, like, when Chamber of Secrets came out, they weren't selling Sorcerer's Stone. So that was my big point of frustration in that episode, was like, you'd go to the store and you'd say, hey, there's a Prisoner of Azkaban ornament. This is great. Do you have the other two? And they're like, unfortunately, no. We only come out with them every year, and it's a Prisoner of Azkaban year. So next year's going to be Goblet of Fire, but we don't make the other two. And there are only going to be 7. There's 7 books. So clearly, if a person is at the store like, hey, I want to buy a Prisoner of Azkaban ornament, do you have the other two? They would be willing to buy them from Hallmark, not like a person online for, 6-7 times the value of this ornament. Like, Hallmark would still be getting the money. And, like, granted, maybe the demand, like, wouldn't be there for future releases, which I think Carly brought up when we were talking about this. Like, the drive for, like, I gotta pre-order the Half-Blood Prince ornament. Like, I need it. Like, that still exists because it's going to go away. However, again, there are only 7 of these. And if you're going to buy book 6 now, you're going to want 1 through 5. So you would gladly give them your money to get 1 through 5 because you're buying number 6. So that is my episode 39 soapbox. Because it's frustrating to me that something of such limited release doesn't let you get the whole set. Like, I get maybe, like, if the whole set's done, they're like, we're not going to make them after this year. We're done. I get that. But, like, just let people buy the books they want to buy. There's only 7.
I know.
To me, really, really quick before we carry on with the news, it's kind of like when Bosnian started reprinting the books, right? Like, we had 1 through 3, and then they printed 4 like a while later, but they also reprinted 1 through 3, so you could catch up if you were just buying 4. That way, you're not like, well, 1 through 3 are no longer available. So,
right, because they were gone.
I'll start reading at 4. That seems like a great spot to pick up the series.
Right, because you could not find books 1 through 3. I mean, like, 2 and 3 were a little easier, but it was all used. You couldn't buy them from the publisher. Like, they were out of print. And then book 4
and
was
1 was gone.
Hey,
like, first edition Bosnian is still really hard to find. I had several people trying to swindle me out of mine, actually, in different, like, ways before they reprinted. And that, granted, there is a differentiation, but they still reprinted. Or same with, like, Tibetan. When they printed book 3 in Tibetan, they were also reprinted 2 and 1, so that way you could buy the lot. Or even, Breton, they printed book 1 when they redid book 2, so that way it's not like, well, we'll pick up with 2. That's fine. So I understand, like, I like they're not reprinting or remaking because of the scarcity idea, right? But if they would, scarcity goes down, value goes down typically, at least short term. But then you have collectors like Melanie that are able to get all of them, and they're a lot happier and not having to, like, scour and things. So it's a hard thing.
It's so hard, too, because I know that you and Erik both have, like, the same mentality as I do, which is the collector mentality of gotta catch them all. And, like, that's something that we've said since the beginning of this is, like, I have a list in my head, and these are all the things that I need to check boxes for, and I need to check off my list, and these are all the things that I want to have and need to have. And, like, feeling in your heart of hearts that that's impossible and it's not going to happen, because as collectors we also have boundaries. It's heartbreaking at times, being like, and I feel like that I felt like that a lot with this ornament. I did not think that I was ever going to own it because I wasn't in a circumstance, or a circumstance didn't present itself to me where it was going to be a possibility, because I just, it's a piece of plastic.
Well, and it's also one of those things, like, you're great at sourcing books, we know, and, Funko Pops and stuff, but, like, sourcing Hallmark ornaments at the end of the day. That's different groups you've got to be a part of. That's different collectorships you've got to be a part of. And those aren't things you may be a part of the Harry Potter fandom, which does overlap some with Hallmark stuff, but it's not the same groups necessarily. Like it was this time, but it's not usually.
And that's a really good point too, because we primarily obviously collect Harry Potter books, and that's our community, to the point where honestly, any book that I'm buying at this point is I'm buying it like quote unquote secondhand, but it's from someone else from the community is like picking it up for me. Like one of our like Discord members is getting me Croatian because that's just how it worked out. And that's how I'm getting a new book for my shelf. Or if I'm buying books, it's because someone from our community sent me a link that I know is a trusted site. I can't say that for Hallmark ornaments, and I can't even really say that too much with my Funko Pops, which that's another grail item, is that Funko Pop that I'm missing, considering I have every single one except that one, and that kills my collector soul. But now that I have this ornament, I feel slightly better. My collector soul, it was about to break into a Horcrux, and then it just like fused back together, and now I'm okay.
I was so excited when like David sent me a message, was like, "Is this the ornament that Melanie needs?" And I'm like, "Yes, it is." Oh my gosh! I like texted
I know.
Right away. I'm like,
and the thing is
gotta buy it.
I know that this is like a stupid excuse, but like Nora steals my phone, and every so often she'll like move apps around or change my settings. I don't know how she does it. She's more savvy with the phone at 2 years old than I feel like I am. But she changed a setting in my Discord where I'm not getting my notifications anymore, and I can't figure out how to like get it back where I'm getting notifications. So I even said to David when I ended up seeing his message, I just gave him my number, and I was like, if something like this comes up again, please just text me, because this is like an emergency scenario. And thankfully Erik like caught me in time, David got me in time, and I was able to get this literal grail item to the point where I went up into my attic. I got all of my ornaments down, and that's why all 5 are hanging up in front of me right now.
So are you having your little Hanukkah tree this year, or like they just now permanently part of your display because they don't have to like eye you seasonally for like four weeks at a time, being like, you don't have all of us?
I know, seriously. Well, also, and I was telling this to Peter too, I have the fake version of Sorcerer's Stone.
I know, you told me that too.
Which I got from Five Below.
Yeah, they reissued them, and they're just not as good. Like they're not like the ones with like they're like 3D coming out of the
these
page.
Ones.
Like,
these ones are 3-dimensional. It's like a really nice material.
Are they from Hallmark?
Hallmark came out with a different set.
Oh wow.
I only have it.
It's
for
like the Dollar Tree versions.
Yeah, basically. I got it at Five Below.
Yeah,
like it's like
not as good.
It's like a cheap little. It's like that ornament material, like it's not quite glass, but it's not quite plastic. It's not. These are so nice.
If you just squished it with your hand, it would just like
crumble. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, these are much nicer. I think with that large amount of news that we had, it is now
that's
time
the end of the episode.
That's the whole thing.
No, but we do have to talk about our larger than life main segment.
But it's not a longer than life main segment. It's not going to take that long. So don't think that you're in for like a 4-hour episode here.
No, we've not done that yet.
No.
I was about to say, speaking of large things, we've got the large print Harry Potter books.
Yay!
Ah! So that's actually going to be what we're talking about. They exist in more than just English US and English UK, which is actually really cool.
Which I didn't really realize so much. Like, I didn't realize to the extent.
It makes sense, though. Like, the first time I saw one, like, I was already almost done with my collection. and I was at my local library, and I saw one on the shelf, and I'm like, what is that? Like, it's a hardcover Sorcerer's Stone without a dust jacket? Like, what? Is it a library binding? And I pulled it off, and I'm like, whoa. Like, this is different. And I opened it up, and I was like, whoa, baby. You could see this from a mile away. Because you could, because it's the large print edition. Yeah, and so, like, I just went home, and I looked up on Amazon, like, Harry Potter large print, and I'm like, hey, this is a thing. And I bought one, and that's the only one I have. I have the U.S.
Did you get the
Sorcerer's Stone
hardcover or soft cover U.S.?
Hardcover.
Does mine has a jacket. Does yours?
Mine does not have a jacket, no.
Mine does have a jacket.
I think that, and I don't know for sure. I'm just speculating based on conversations we've had with Harrison about specialized format of books. Like these books are all published by whoever the original publisher is, but
I can see their logo, but I can't remember their name off the top. And it's some of the books I haven't unpacked yet.
I can look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not Scholastic. I'll tell you that.
No. It has 3 little flaggy things, like their logo is 3 things.
They're trees, Carly.
Okay. I knew it was 3 things that stuck up out of the ground.
I can look right now. Thorndike Press, a part of Gale
there we go.
Cengage Learning. And then it says right on the inside cover, this large print book carries the seal of approval from NAVH, which I don't know what that is.
Me neither, actually.
I could probably Google that and find out. But I do get the impression that large print books, much like Braille books, can be created because there is a need for them. If you have, a visual...
That's what I don't know. I don't know how much of a...
bigger print. Like, I think this is a specialized format of books that you can kind of access...
I don't know what...
by kind of circumventing the normal copyright laws. But it does seem like this is like a publisher. It's not like anyone can print Braille books that has
and
a
these
Braille
are also
printer.
sold like at Books A Million in Paducah, Kentucky. I found all 1 through 7 hardcover with jacket for sale in large print by Thorndike. So you can buy them at bookstores.
Okay. Oh, Harrison's actually in the live listening, and he just mentioned that don't quote him, but large print he considers a specialized format. So, which makes sense.
Yeah, I
right?
wouldn't know where that would fall.
The reason this book exists is because there's a need for it outside of just the traditional here's a book, read it.
But there seem to be dedicated large print publishers that do large print editions, because I've seen large print of all of the Galbraith books, which is J.K. Rowling's pen name, and I've seen large print of that other book that she did,
Cuckoo's Calling.
Calling.
Not Cuckoo's Calling. No, that's part of the Galbraith.
Casual Vacancy.
Casual Vacancy. I've seen large print of that too. Both US and UK. I didn't look to see the publisher's work because I didn't care enough to look at the book. But I knew that they were there. They were in the large print aisle. So there are specialty publishers dedicated to it. So I don't know where it falls in copyright law. I would consider it specialty media, but at the same time, I think it still has... I don't think anyone can just be like, well, we're going to do this today, Stan. Okay, George.
You're right.
And go on.
I think it's slightly different than that. So... but it's not like these books are at a library and they would be like, hey, why are you checking this book out? Like, anyone can check them out. Like, they're at your library.
Right.
Sure.
So, unlike Braille books, which I don't think are at your local library, I think you can get them through, like, a local library, but it's not the same. Like, you're just not going to show up and find it on the shelf at your library.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never looked. Probably not. I know that there are also dedicated libraries for the blind.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So that's probably, more specialized thing. And they'll have, I guess, different resources there than your usual county or city libraries. But back to the topic at hand, the first large print editions that I knew about, or of course, actually knew about UK before I knew about the US English ones. So, and UK, they're really, really big. They're really big.
So cool,
and they're really wide. I know.
I feel like I need one
This
of
is
those.
actually the third book that I've had that was a large print Philosopher's Stone. I've owned 2 prior, and I would buy it, be really excited, and be like, meh, it's taking up like lots of shelf space because it's like 2 books wide. So then I'd sell it off and be like, yeah. And then I'd be like, oh, darn it, I still want it. So then I'd buy another copy and be like, it's 2 books wide. And then I'd sell it off. And now I'm on my 3rd one. And I've decided I'm going to keep it this time. It was $10 shipped. So I was like, you're not going to get a better deal than that, especially now. And you can find the UK large print editions. As far as I know, they're only in hardcover, but you can find them both in the original cover art as well as Johnny Duddle. Those are the only 2 covers that I know about for these.
Huh. That's really cool.
So that's kind of cool.
Well,
they might be reissued later,
again,
but
like the purpose of these is not for like the cover. The purpose is for what is inside.
Right.
So I can see maybe why they wouldn't want to, purchase the rights to a new illustration to get this done, because I do think the market for this is not necessarily like there is a market for people buying these or going to a library for them. But if you're reading them electronically, any book, you can make any book a large print book if you're reading it electronically. So, the media, like the demand for like a physical media large print book doesn't seem like it's as popular as it might have been before e-readers were out. So, I'm guessing people like my grandparents would read a book maybe like this, or someone that is older that maybe doesn't have access to like a Kindle or like a Nook or any of the, even like on your cell phone, because anyone that has grown up with that technology would feel very comfortable just accessing the text that way. Or I guess just people that prefer a physical book to e-readers. But I think the e-reader does allow you like more accessibility to a wider range of books, and you're not just kind of limited by what your library has in large print format.
Well, typically I agree, with the exception of the UK books. And the reason I say that is simply because, especially the original cover art ones, I've seen them being sold a lot as first editions for like $1,500 for 1 through 7. So it's hyper inflating the value of them, and they're putting together a set of first prints of these and selling them as first edition, which they're not. The first edition large print came out in 2001 per the copyright page. And so I see a lot of people that are like, oh, they're first editions because the art matches, and they don't know enough about what it is that they're buying. So that is hyperinflating the demand and the value for those particular editions. Otherwise, I typically agree with what you're saying. But, a large print edition, original art or not, UK book from Bloomsbury or wherever will never be a first edition. It can't be. It's years late. But they're being sold as such. They have been being sold as such on eBay for at least since 2009 when I first started collecting. And it's a very easy thing because you can pick them up at library sales, and you can, there's a price on these for $16.99. So you can buy them, and I think you can probably even buy them online.
New for... Did you hear that? That was a big thud. I'm trying to see if mine has a price. I don't have a price, but I bought mine on Amazon, so you can buy them. It's not like you have to get them from the library.
Exactly. They're around, and at some point I think they were sold to the public somewhere, even if it was just through the publisher. I don't know that they were available in like some of the stores like Foils and whatnot. But
they do at least in the US. They have their own ISBN, which
yes. Well, because they're a different publisher entirely.
Right. So
it's a different edition entirely. It would be it's a whole different thing. I think this is its own ISBN too. It'd have to be. Right. This one is still published by Bloomsbury though.
Oh, really? That's cool. I was going to say, if they have their own unique ISBN, that really defeats any argument to say like, hey, it's a first edition, first printing.
But the copyright page looks similar to this one. Like I'm looking at it, it's printed.
ISBN would negate.
It's printed by Clays. And, this edition first published in 2001 and so on. But if you don't know how to read copyright pages, if you don't know what you're looking for, you just know that the art matches and it's a hardcover Harry Potter book, which is worth quite a bit of money. So to be fair, I can see where the confusion happens, and most people don't know what an ISBN is other than it's a series of numbers on the back that says they have to pay so much when they check out.
Right. Well, you can refresh that an ISBN is literally an identification number for any book. Any book that's published by like
any legit publisher.
There's an international like group.
Potterglut knows quite a bit, and you have to buy them. Every book you have to buy an ISBN for. Like, you have to actually purchase it from the holders of them. So it's not just a willy-nilly number.
If your country that you're publishing the book in is part of this international agreement, which there are some countries that are not.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
So, like, that gets a little murky there. But, I mean, like England, United Kingdom, like...
They're definitely a part of that.
They're following that. So, if you're looking for this book and like, hey, this is too good to be true, like, check the ISBN because it's really helpful.
Check your ISBN and all of that. And even... be wary of anything that says a first print edition set of Harry Potter books. And it says large print at the bottom, but there's still confusion, so... just be wary of that. And the US books, like, there are large print US books, both hard and soft cover, 1 through 7, and they're by Thorndike Press. And so the first time I saw the hardcover, it was without the jacket as well on eBay, and I got so excited because it was a bad picture of it, and I could kind of see the spine, but kind of not see the spine. And I was like, oh, it might be a JLG, because I knew it was pictorial boards. You know, Junior Library Book Club Edition also has pictorial boards. It was only $15, and I was like, should I take the risk and buy the spend $15 and see if I can get a JLG or not? Right, you know. And I wound up zooming way, way, way in on the bottom of the spine, and it did not say JLG. It, in fact, had the 3 little tree logo, and I was like, dang it, and moved on.
Dang it.
But yeah, there can be a lot of confusion with that as well, because they are pictorial boards for the large print as well. The jacket gives it away because the jacket inside flap has giant lettering like the book does. But, you know, and the soft cover books, they're just present and accounted for. They're nothing really special in my opinion, but they exist. And then we have
so we're talking about Harry Potter large print books. So we kind of covered the English ones that we've encountered, but there are large print books that exist.
There's a few translations around, which is neat. The first large print book that I got was actually large print German book 3, Azkaban. And I found it up on eBay, and I was like, what is this? I thought it was so cool because it's slightly different covers. It's very noticeably not one of the German trade editions because it's very different cover art. It's very subdued and very adulty looking. And I think I paid something like $20 for it shipped. It wasn't a lot because I'm not going to spend a lot of money on something that I don't know what it is. So I bought that, and then I was like, well, if there's a book 3, there's got to be a 2 and probably a 1. So, and there's no more after book 3. So there's only 1 through 3 large print in the German books, which is interesting because they're all about the same. Like, the spines are all about the same width, you know. And I know book 1 through 3, they're not that much wider, but book 3 is still definitely wider in normal trade editions than book 1. And the German large prints, they're all about the same width of the spine. So I think that's kind of neat. But they're a thing. They're published first, I think, in 2007 for book 1, and probably 2 and 3. So I'm guessing there just wasn't a demand for 4 through 7, or these were like a test run. I'm not sure. But they do exist. They are a thing. And they're hardcover, which is even neater.
Oh, I was going to ask that.
Yeah, and they're like super heavy. Like, their spines are pretty stout. Their boards are pretty stout too, I mean. And they're by a different publisher as well. They are by Oibe Reite Grossdruck in 2007.
Wow. We know the gross means big.
Yes. You are correct. So, yeah, and it is quite a bit bigger. Like, the font is quite a bit bigger, which is the point. It's not as big as, like, the English from what I've seen. Either English, US, or UK, but it's still pretty big. Like, you still know that it's bigger.
Like, this is a whole, like, realm that I am super unfamiliar with, but
I agree.
I'm wondering, like, is there an international standard for size of font for these books, or does each country have kind of like a size font for these? Because I mean, font is pretty international.
It is, and what classifies it as large print versus, this is regular.
Right. Well, and font size is international. Like 12 point Times New Roman font. Like
it's
that's
pretty
the same
standard
anywhere.
across.
So
yeah. So I'm not sure, but this is definitely bigger than 12 point font, Times New Roman. Definitely bigger than that. I don't know what the font size is, but it's fairly large. And then we have French actually made a large print, only books 1 and 2, and I love the French large print books. Much like the German, it is a slightly different cover. You get the usual cover art that you get the French books, but it's like zoomed way in. It's large print too. It's a large print illustration is how I look at it. And the burgundy, it's got a burgundy border. It's very noticeably large print. It says, large print edition at the bottom.
Love
and
that.
A yellow banner.
What if the illustration was just like half of Harry's face that took up the whole page?
That's how big it is. But the font is also quite large. Like, they did not disappoint. They really made it large. And then book 2, it's like a similar deal where you have like the zoomed in photo, and then it's like a periwinkle or like a grayish blue border instead of burgundy, but very noticeably stand out. And the spine too, it's quite yellow. It very noticeably stands out, so you know what it is when you're looking at it on a shelf, which I really like.
Cool.
I love that. I love when like the spine is noticeably different. Like that is so cool.
Yeah,
when you can just look at your shelf, like even if they weren't in alphabetical order, and be like, that's that book. I mean, like Occitan, like there it is.
Yeah,
lime green.
Yeah.
Like, why is it lime green? I don't know, but it's there.
And
Why
I think
not?
originally this has a price on it. It was originally €20.
Oh.
I think I paid $25 shipped, so about €20 for the whole kit and caboodle. So that was kind of cool. I still need book 2 of that, but I've had other things. And it's also by a different publisher too. Looks like Farian. I guess they specialize in like large print stuff, French large print stuff. And I don't know how common large print is in Europe, to be very honest. I would think not very common, because it's just the last known large print translation that I'm aware of is Italian, and only books 1 and 2 were made in that as well. And I don't even own those yet. I don't have them. I don't own them. And I honestly don't know who the publisher is. I can Google it really fast, though, if need be.
That's okay.
Okay.
That's okay.
But and like the German and the French,
That's
it's
okay.
different cover art. Yeah, it's different cover art there too. So they're very noticeably, like the European large prints are very noticeably different in my opinion. I'm actually kind of shocked that there's not a Spanish large print edition, and I don't know why that shocks me, but it does. It seems like I would have thought they would have done that. But to my knowledge, there's not one. And those are really the only large print books that I'm aware of at this time, other than, of course, Braille, which is a whole different ballgame entirely. But if, anyone else knows of any other kind of large print books, I would love to hear about it. I would love to see them. I just haven't seen them around.
Well, Catalan has some, right?
Who?
I'm sorry. Are we talking about like other translations?
Yeah, other large print translations.
Because like Catalan, don't they have large print?
I've not heard of them.
I don't know if that's like large print or if it's just like a large book.
A large book?
I don't
Okay.
think that's a large print. I can pick it up. It's on the shelf right there.
The
if
one
you
that
want
we
me
were
to
just
I
look
don't
talking
at it.
have
about.
them,
Hold
so
on.
I'm like, I thought from when we
I
talked
think
about
they're
them, they were
just
large
adult
prints.
editions.
Okay.
I don't think they're large print though.
Okay.
Because typically the large print says large print somewhere on it.
You would
Like it's
think,
very
yeah.
noticeably a large print book.
Sorry, I said that and you both looked at me like I was absolutely bonkers. But
No, it looks the same. Sorry, I'm like far away now, so if I sound far away, that's why. No, it's just a bigger book.
Okay, so the Catalan books are just big books.
But
They're
they're not large print.
books. The only thing large about the books is the book. The print is the same.
Very,
Same.
very, very accurate.
We
Same
need you to
print,
make
big
the
book.
book bigger. What about the pictures? Bigger, pages bigger. How about the font?
Everything
Nah,
bigger.
Same.
Nah,
Same.
font,
Same.
Keep it.
It
We
just
like
means
it.
that they have like wider gullies and margins and whatnot.
Nah.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's
But yeah, I don't know of any other large print editions. So if anyone else does, I would love to hear about it.
Yeah, let us know. Send us an email. Dialoguealleypodcast.
And if you have a picture, even better. Because I
gmail.com.
wouldn't be surprised. Like there's, all sorts of like little random editions that are like, oh, this is limited to like 200 out of Turkey that are coming to light or something like that. Like the Turkish deluxe editions and whatnot. So, I mean, it's very possible there's large print because they're not well known. And it's just something that somebody buys usually on eBay. Like, what's this? This is neat.
Well,
and
I
then we
wonder-
find
that
a
was
whole
me.
new edition.
depending
Yeah.
on the country, right? Like they might not be available to purchase like through your regular bookstore. You might have to go through some
Right.
other channels to get these books. So they might exist, but they might not just be like, "Hey, I'm here on the open market."
It might be
come
so
buy me."
niche. Right.
Right.
It might be so niche that you can only get them from like library sales at that. So then
Right,
you'd
or
need to be local.
Maybe they only are issued to like libraries or libraries that specifically carry large print books or bookstores that only carry large print books. So who knows?
Right.
I don't know. I'm not the answer on this episode. Sorry, everyone.
Darn it, Eric.
Well-
Dagnabbit.
I was going to say there's something that Erik can talk to us a little bit more about, which would be our translation of the show. However, I don't think he owns this book. So
Oh.
stay tuned for the translation of the show, led by Erik, who does not own the translation of the show.
Which means it'll be great.
Well, for today's translation of the show, I bring you another book I don't have. I feel like I haven't
A
had
series
the last,
by
like,
Erik.
four. We've talked about like 4 books in a row that I have not owned.
You could pick next week. I'll let you pick
I will
the next
definitely
episode.
pick the next
And
episode's book.
And it'll be one that you have for sure.
It was great. Like I held up one. I was like, "Why don't we do this one?" And Cry's like, "I don't know where that one is." Like, oh,
I don't know where it is. I know it's in here
Okay.
somewhere, but I don't know where it is.
that's fine. So I will. That's fine. I will.
Well, wait, before we start, do you want to do this?
No.
Or do you
no,
want
it-
No. No. we
It
can't.
would be
Let's-
fine.
let's
Like
stick
I would
with the
actually
one-
love to
No,
see.
let's-
I would
Stick
love
to
to see
this.
the US one
Stick
reviewed.
to that one. Stick to the plan.
Okay.
Do not deviate from the plan.
Here's the plan.
There's the plan. I'm looking right at it. And the plan for the translation of the show is the large print German book of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. So, like Carly mentioned, the publisher is not the same. It's not Carlson, which you're like, what? There are German books that exist that are not published by Carlson. They're made by Grossdruck. No, it's probably pronounced way better if you have a German accent. Which is hilarious. But we've never done a book like this as the translation of the show. So all the information about the translator is the same. It's still Klaus Fritz. Initially, this book was published by Carlson. So we can't really like say it's not published by Carlson, even though it's been like adapted to like Grossdruck. I don't know how to say it in German. I did my best there.
Arms and all, but
Thank
great
you.
body language.
I did. But like, there's nothing new about like the German language for this book, so we can just skip that whole part of the background information. However, what we can tell you about is how we got ours, and I'll go first. I don't. So Melanie, go ahead.
I got mine from Lena because that is how I get all of my German books.
Shout out to Lena. What a wonderful human.
Shout out to
Oh,
Lena.
absolutely. She's delightful. I got mine actually with the help of Yvonne. She was getting her large print German books. And so she bought me one as well. And then I just paid her. And then I got it was one of those big giant boxes that she sent over that was half my collection in a box, essentially. And it was in there. That's how I got 2 and 1, actually.
Outstanding.
Mm-hmm. And I want to say they were very inexpensive. I think €15 or something like that for the 2.
Not bad.
Well, and one day I will share with you a glorious tale.
Eric, they're around. Melanie and I
around.
can send you links as we're live.
It's something I said before we started recording in the pre-show chat for our Discord members. This isn't a thing that I want necessarily, unless the cover
until you see it in person. It's so cool.
I know it's something
it's
that
a green border. The cover's mostly green. How can you say no to mostly green books?
So
I just can't.
What I'm going to say, Carly, is this is another thing to add to my if I just get the itch and need to buy something, this is around and I'll get it. I'm in no hurry to get it. It doesn't add anything to my collection. The only thing I would add would be a different cover. So there's that, but I'm not in a hurry to get this book. I'd way rather get the giant books 1 through 7 Carlson volume of everything in one huge.
Same. I can't wait for that guy.
I'd rather get that.
I know.
Than the large print German book. It doesn't have a space.
But
they're not the same price.
That's
justified.
I know.
No, that's totally justified.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
I know.
I really can't wait for that giant all-in-one. That's the only one to exist right now of it.
This
is something
if I bought it, I wouldn't be super excited about it. But if all of a sudden someone bought it for me and gave it to me as a gift, I'd be like, "That's awesome! That's so great!" I love I would love it way more if it unexpectedly arrived, or someone got it for Christmas for me or something. That would be cool. So, but I don't need to seek it out. Anyway, enough about me not buying this book. Let's talk about the, we already mentioned the rarity. I guess it's not super rare, and the value, it's not super valuable. So if you want it, you can get it.
Yeah, and you'll see people they'll call it rare, you see in all the typical eBay listings of quote unquote rare things, but they're around at least as of right now. So,
Correct.
Yeah.
So let's get into our scale. So if you're new to this, we rate books based on a many number of factors, but we score them not in the traditional 1 through 10 or 1 through 5, but through the Harry Potter OWL's grading scale, which we don't do this enough, you guys. I think we need to mention this every few episodes. Here are all the possible scores. The highest score we can give a book is O for outstanding, followed by E for exceeds expectations, A for acceptable, P for poor, D for dreadful, and the rarely used T for troll, which I don't think
we've had a few trolls, haven't we? We had
I don't know.
Bengali, I feel got a pretty decent troll score.
Bengali's not good.
But to be fair, in the Harry Potter lore, I don't think anyone ever gets a T on their OWLs. They don't even know about it until one of the Weasley twins is and then there's T for troll. I don't think anyone does that poorly.
No.
Well, some of the books did.
I suppose.
Very
but
few.
No one on the exam in the actual book. Anyway, all right. So the first thing that we do is we open the book and smell it. So I will watch you two ladies smell this book and then give me a score.
And for starters, how cool is it that I get to participate?
I know.
I love it. I know.
Carly's got all the books back, so she's
still
back in action, everyone.
I'm gonna give it.
I don't hate it.
I kind of don't like it.
I don't love it though. It's not.
No.
All right, so Melanie, what do you got?
I'm gonna give it a poor. I don't like it. Ew, the deeper my nose gets into it, I don't like it. It's a P for poor.
I don't know. It's better than acceptable, but it's certainly not exceeds expectations. So I'm going to say like acceptable. It's not even a plus. It's just acceptable. It's disappointingly exceeding expectations. So I guess acceptable. Yeah.
All right. So
just
the
that.
next category, I guess that's not overwhelming. Sorry, German large print. Next category is the size and proportions, which I would only imagine are large. So,
Oddly enough,
what are you going to give it?
it's not as large as you'd think. Like,
No, it's smaller than the UK large print.
and it's only like slightly larger than the regular like German hardcovers. Yeah, because what I love about the German editions are they're all about like the same size. Like the original hardcovers are about the same size as the adult editions, as the book club editions. 20th anniversary editions are the same size, which is really cool. These ones are only like maybe a half inch bigger. For a large print, that's kind of cool. I don't know. I would say acceptable for. No, I'll say exceeds expectation for size and proportions. I think
It's
that
hard to almost compare.
I like
like I'm thinking about it. Like the job of this book is not to be flattering in any way. It's to like
It's to
provide
do a
function,
specific job.
right? So
Right.
it's almost like hard to critique.
What I do like is that the title of the chapter is like the same size font as the font of the chapter. There's really not much differentiation, which I think is neat. They just italicize the chapter titles and then the rest is just normal. But it's the same size font as what it looks like.
What did you give it, Carly, for size and proportion?
I don't know. I would say exceeds expectations. I think it's not my favorite large print, but it does a very good job of being a large print book. So it exceeds my expectations, I think.
Awesome. All right. Well, the next category is how the book feels in your hands. So if you're holding it in your hands, you can give me an accurate.
I'm also
Score.
gonna give it an exceeds expectations. It is a
Great.
big chunky book. It feels cool. It's a nice texture. It's nice and smooth. Everything is like very rounded in this book. I don't know, just nice. I think exceeds expectations.
I would agree. I like how the spine is rounded. It fits very well in the hand.
Yeah, that's nice about it.
Awesome. What about the overall quality of the book?
Made very well. Oh my goodness. Great paper, bound well, heavy boards. It's meant to be read a lot. When you open it, it lays flat, but it's not like breaking the spine. Like they're meant to be read and they're made very well for it. Very impressed. So I'm actually going to give this probably outstanding actually for quality.
Ooh. Pew, pew, pew.
I think the only reason why I'm going to give mine exceeds expectations is because my corners get like a bit rounded at the top. But like I feel like that's to be expected with a book that's this chunky.
Mine are still wicked sharp. So
Wicked sharp.
Wait, did you just go
They
on vacation
are.
to Cape Cod too?
Wicked sharp. When we were at the beach, we heard a woman scolding her child with the thickest like New England accent I think I've ever heard in my entire life, and it was precious. Honestly,
I
don't have it in my Long Islandisms to be able to recreate that accent. I would not do it justice, but just try to imagine it getting scolded with a Boston accent. Just wow.
Oh, I've heard it.
Just wow.
My
It was
family's
good.
I had family all up in Boston, which is where Wicked came from.
It was wicked sharp.
Yep.
We are not affiliated with
And-
the new release of the Wicked motion picture based on the hit Broadway musical starring Ariana Grande. Although, if they'd like to sponsor us, I think I'd accept.
Ah,
Anyway,
I love Wicked so much, but I don't know. I don't know
I've seen
about that.
I've never seen it.
I don't know. I've seen it
I've
twice.
never seen it.
One from like really far away. Like we get all the shows here. And I went to see it. Like my sister was still in high school, so like this is such a tangent. I went along with like, cause they're like, hey, we have an extra ticket. I'm like, I'll go. I was living in Minneapolis, so like took a bus right over to the theater. Went to the show with a bunch of high school kids, and we were in like the third to last row. Still amazing, right?
Yep.
Obviously, like Idina Menzel wasn't touring. Like it was the touring show, like right after it was famous. And then, like the second time I saw it with my wife, we were like way closer, and I was like, "Hey, I didn't know that girl was green." Like, and I thought that was kind of funny. I couldn't even tell that from way in the back.
That's very funny.
Anyway, it was kind of funny. I made myself laugh. Anyway, the next category is the cover art / interpretation of cover art. So, what do you think for the German large print cover art?
I like how subdued it is. There's nothing magical about it.
You know why I'm going to give it an exceeds expectations?
Because there are glasses on it?
It's glasses on a large print edition. I just think that's so clever. Like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to jump ahead, but that's also my X factor, is the fact that it's an illustration of, not an illustration, but it's like a picture of Harry's glasses on a piece of paper for the large print edition. It's so
zooming
clever.
in on the words on the page, like
exactly.
The only thing better,
that's so
and like
clever.
I thought of it immediately, so I'm so glad you brought that up because I was gonna say something. The only thing better would be like the book, like a Sherlock Holmes book with like a giant magnifying glass on the entire cover for the large print.
I'm actually going to give it an exceed. I love the cover art of this book. I love, for the same reasons, that's also my X factor too.
I like the color.
Love it.
It's just so fun.
I like the color.
The green,
the color
of course.
is cool.
Yeah, the color.
But who doesn't love green?
I guess my question.
But yeah.
My question from a non-owner is, how does that compare to the like General Carlson hardcover books?
It doesn't. It doesn't to me, honestly.
No, it's not
I
quite
feel like
there.
I feel like Carlson's the artwork that has been put out from the Carlson books just over the years has been so sublime in comparison to this. I feel like this is just it's glasses on a
very
paper.
subdued.
I was thinking more of just, like the quality of the book itself. Like, does it feel like a
here's
book
book
that's
2.
Carlson?
Oh,
or...
yeah. No, I feel like it holds up to like what we would say is the standards of Carlson books that we've judged in the past, which is phenomenal quality. We could say that across the board with Carlson books. I just don't think that the cover art compares to Savine Wilharm's books at period. I feel like her artwork is just completely in a different realm of this is like a Google image of Harry Potter glasses on a piece of paper, and it's zoomed in and on a green book, and there we go.
But I still love it.
It's
I
hilarious.
Still love it.
It's hilarious. So that's why it gets an exceeds expectations still.
Yep, and wins the X Factor for me as well.
and wins the X Factor because that's so fantastic.
Oh, I love it. You know, I think we absolutely can always agree on the X Factor. I think there was one episode where like, wow, you took mine. Like, I don't think that's a thing. I think we can agree on the X Factor because I would also say, and I don't get a vote on this one, the X Factor is definitely the glasses on the cover. It's the glasses. It's gotta be the glasses.
It's gotta be the glasses. It's gotta be.
You gotta see the baby, Jerry.
Oh my gosh, you're an absolute hoot.
Well, thank you. Well, so there's that. I think that is it for the Harry Potter large print edition from Germany, in German. I don't think I need to say that, but I did anyway.
Yeah.
So that's it. That is the translation of the show.
That is all we have time for this episode of Dialogue Alley. And if you would like to get in touch with us, you could do so in a plethora of ways. You can find Carly on Instagram at All the Pretty Books, Erik at Nocturne Erik, me at the Harry Potter Collection. You could also find us at our various websites. Carly is alltheprettybooks.net. My website's theharrypottercollection.com. And we also have a website for this podcast, which is dialoguealley.com. We have a lot of really big ideas for our website, so stay tuned. I think that's going to be like a summer project for us to get some big updates to the website, more informational type stuff and resources for everybody. So stay tuned for that because it is a work in progress. We're working on that. Other ways that you can find us are on Twitter, on Facebook. You can find me on TikTok at Magically Melanie. You can also find us on MuggleNet. We're a MuggleNet family podcast, so you can check us out on MuggleNet, as well as any other amazing Harry Potter podcasts that MuggleNet puts out. They're just top-notch shows. So if you are looking for other Harry Potter content after listening to this, you can always check out one of their podcasts as well. And if you like what you're listening to, you can always support us a little bit further by subscribing to us on Patreon. If you do that, we have like a number of tiers that give you different options of things that you can participate in. There's bonus episodes we mentioned earlier. Carly just put out a bonus episode. And it also gives you access to our Discord, all sorts of resources, cool stuff, cool people. So you can do that by going to www.patreon.com/dialoguealley. And with all of that being said, it is time to now walk back through the archway and into your daily lives, and we will catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.